Okay, so Frosty here. Today we're going to be talking about 16 by 9. Recently, Examu released an article on their Kickstarter saying that the game will now be in 16 by 9 instead of 4 by 3. So if you don't know, that means that the ratio between horizontal and vertical will be 16 by 9 instead of 4 by 3. Okay, I'm pretty sure I drew that on the wrong layer. So a lot of people are up in arms about it, and I think it's a little bit weird because really it's, is it that big of a deal? Does it matter that much that the game is in 16 by 9? And I feel that a lot of people coming from other games, they think that it's a massive deal because in other games it could be a massive deal, right? But here, not so much. Okay, or is it? So I've come up with some things to think about, and I'm gonna just present it to you guys, and you guys will listen, hopefully. So, the first thing is to figure out what exactly changes, alright? So, when it says 16 by 9, does anyone actually know how they're going to do it? Because I'm gonna put up a screenshot, right? This is a screenshot of the game. Okay, and let me just move it to the center. Move it to the center, there it is, okay. Now, when it says 16 by 9, I think what a lot of people are assuming, and I also am assuming, is these sidebars that you see here. Let me just change that color. Let me go white. Never mind. Orange it is. People think that these sidebars are just going to disappear. Okay. That is one way to do it, right? So you will see these two bits on the side here more often, or rather this whole square, okay? You will see what's behind here. And it also means that the character, when their back is towards the corner, right, they will be in this position here, right? What happens if this happens, or like they remove the sidebars, is that you will have an increase in horizontal space, okay? So there's one way to see it. There could be an increase in horizontal space. Okay. Wow. Okay. The other thing they could do, okay, is instead, right, let me do this in purple, zoom in so that it looks like this instead. So this is still 16 by 9, right? So they'll zoom in. And if you do it this way, you will have the same amount of horizontal space, okay? But you will have a decrease in vertical space. So you could have a decrease in vertical space. Now, I've seen games do it both ways. And I think it's important that we talk about how it's done at the beginning, because that will change what it affects. Okay. So there's two ways. Okay. Now, first, let's think about the game's camera, right? The game's camera is built in a way so that if, let me just make it that. If the characters move far away enough, okay, so if the characters are here, okay, and the characters are here, okay, pretty bad drawing. If the characters move further and further away, okay, actually, you know what, let me put a red thing to show what the camera would probably look like. Okay, if the characters move further away, what would happen in normal games, such as, say, Guilty Gear and Under Night, is that the maximum amount that the characters can move away is determined by the camera. So if you try this in something like Guilty Gear, run to one side of the corner, right? So characters like in here in the corner, stuck, pretty bad. However, the camera only covers this amount of space, right? That means, so character A, character B at max can only go here, even if the stage corner is here on the left, right? In Arcana Heart, it is possible for character B to be on this side, but what would happen is the camera will zoom out to make do. And I would open up the game and show you, but I actually don't have it open, so whoops, you're gonna have to deal with it. and you're gonna have to believe me. So first, the one very important point is that well, you know what, AH3 has a dynamic camera. No matter how far you guys move apart, the camera will always, at least horizontally, will always capture the entire picture. Even if it means the characters have to be this big, right? It will do it. What it doesn't do is if your characters are too high. Okay, if your characters are too high, then basically the maximum width of the stage basically keeps it in check, and then you see this kind of like little icon saying, you know, I'm here. So horizontal. This means that the amount of space that you have to play with doesn't actually change. If from here, if the amount of space you have doesn't actually change, because the camera could always see everything in the first place, and you could always move from one side to the other, no matter, regardless of the enemy's position, what exactly does it change? Because in other games, say On a Night in Birth, it's currently a 16:9 game. If you were to turn it into a 4:3, you would nearly always be in the range of Godard's 5C, for example, because the maximum distance that you can be from the opponent is less. Now, because the game has a dynamic camera, from what I can tell, and from what I've played, and my experience with the game, the only things that it changes is anything that locks the camera. So, will affect, okay, anything which locks the camera. Okay. And if you want an example or something like this, look at something like any wall slam. If you're on one side of the corner and your opponent is kind of near you and you wall slam them, it will lock the camera and then they will bounce off an invisible wall. They will not bounce off the other end of the stage. So, as an example, if I open a new layer, if this is the camera view, okay, but this is the stage with upwards infinite height. If player blue here wall slams, so he doesn't fucking, I don't know, some big massive arrow shit, the player green, terrible green, okay, player green will bounce off this wall here. Boom, he'll bounce off this wall here. Or he'll also tech the wall, but basically there will be an invisible wall here. This is a camera lock effect. However, if it was 16:9, even though this is drawn really badly, if it was 16:9, okay, and it changes the horizontal space, so they remove the sidebars, what will happen, okay, is he will bounce here instead, okay, which means that it takes longer to travel this way. And because it takes longer to travel, you may either have more time to do something, you might even be able to get a combo with it if you couldn't before, you might have more time to set up mix-ups, or it might also be more difficult to get certain mix-ups, okay? It really depends. Depends on the character. So a good example of how this can affect somebody is Maru, just trying to win bitch. So, you know, she does this thing where she's like, Onto, help me! And then the sister comes in and gives the big fucking punch. Pow! And then the guy wall slams. It's like, oh no. Guy wall slams. Now, the B version, you can combo with it if it counter hits. If the horizontal space of the game changes, you might be able to combo it without counter hit. So that is one of the characters that could benefit from this greatly. Another character is, say, Lilica, right? Lilica, when she does a lot of her wall slam enders, it may give her more plus frames to use because it takes longer to get to the wall. Okay. Another thing that what can be affected, okay, is, I'm gonna write this in another color. Anything which uses the bounds of the screen. This and this are not equal, by the way. Okay? Because it doesn't necessarily have to lock the screen. Okay? Actually, that's supposed to be here. That's gone. Okay. An example or something like this would be Nazana's bunnies. Nazana's bunnies, if I was to mute this, delete this. Nazana's bunnies, if this is the screen, she sets this little usagi, and it will, depending on where she sets it, it will hop along the screen, up the screen, to the top, and exit. Now, if it hits them, obviously it's going to end, right? But if the screen is larger horizontally, it means that it will take longer for it to disappear off the screen. This is both a plus and a negative to Nazana, because it's a negative in the way that once it reaches past up here, because it's generally seen that when it's up in the top here, it's pretty useless, right? Once it gets to the top here, it will take longer to come off the screen, which means that she can't summon another bunny for a longer amount of time. Okay. However, the plus is that it's in the ground longer, which means it's also more dangerous. Now, if this is the screen, and instead they shorten the amount of vertical you can see, when I set this rabbit, okay, it will bounce the same amount of time, okay, but when it actually gets to the top, it will be lower. This is a plus to Naz in every way, because it means that it will be way more dangerous in terms of the height of the character. So, you know, Nazan is a character that gets a lot of benefit out of this. There's another character that uses the bounds of the wall. It's Petra when she fires her pew 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 pew, and then it flies off the walls. To be honest, I don't actually know whether it's like a benefit at all. But like, if you change the, if I change the bounds of the box, when it bounces, it'll do something else. It'll be like, it'll do something like this, and then it can change the dynamics of the bullets. So we have, anything which locks the camera, anything which uses the bounds of the screen, and really, when it comes to this stuff, right, you can be summarized into a few other short things. Basically, wall slams and corner carries don't actually matter, but things like wall slams are the ones that are most popular. I don't know if there's anything else that uses the bounds of the screen. Maori's sisters may take longer to appear, depending. So, you know, when she summons the sisters, it always comes from the side of the screen. It may take longer because the size of the screen is bigger, or it may not matter at all. Also, if the screen is vertically changed, as in you have less of the screen, when she does 2-2-A, which is the overhead which comes from the sky, it may come out quicker. So yeah, in terms of whether this is good or not, okay, it will really depend on their implementation. Is it going to be a big deal? And honestly, the answer is, compared to other games, it is not. The question a lot of other people have is, you know, why? So let me just delete this because I don't think I'll need this for now. Okay, so why though? Why put it into 16:9 when the game is already in 4:3? Okay, and okay, I don't know anything, but these are the answers I came up with. 1, it's cheaper. Imagine every time they release a character, they have to make a set of animated sidebars. That just costs money for no gameplay benefit, and you know what? There's not that many people who like the sidebars. Okay? And 2, it's less. I'm going to use a different color for this. Like, seriously, right? There are a lot of people out there that looked at the sidebars and was like, this looks like fucking garbage. And you know what? They're right. And for people who like the sidebars, once they got into the game, they stopped noticing the sidebars in the first place. So the sidebars were only like they only matter to people looking in, and I don't know any people who looked in and they're like, "This game looks amazing. Look at those sidebars." So really, there is, I if I could show this game to more people, and the more people get into it just because there's no sidebars, fuck it, let's do that. Because really, this if there's one thing that Arcana Heart has a problem with, it's players. It looks really tacky to have the sidebars, man. So it being on 16:9 is pretty good. In my opinion anyway, because really everything is turning into 16:9 in the first place. The game was originally 4:3 because of the export. Now, export arcade. If you remember like Demon Bride, Arcana Heart 1, Arcana Heart 2, I don't even remember what other like games they had in there. They all ran on 4:3. Old arcade games also ran on 4:3. Things like Marvel 2 and all that shit. Unfortunately now it's 2018. Even though they're using the same assets, they're using the same engine and stuff. Really, it would be good to go into 16:9 because everything is 16:9. Even some games are even 16:10. Like believe it or not, Blaze Blue is actually 16:10, not 16:9. That's why the game looks a bit weird when you look at arcade screenshots and stuff. So, really, I think it's good that they're going into 16:9. Other people don't agree. I'm just here making this video to let you guys know that it's not actually going to change too much, right? It's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to be like, oh my god, this is going to change the way I zone, because really it's not going to fucking do that. Unless your projectiles come from the side of the screen, and honestly, the only character it involves is Maori Lilica, right? And if there's any more characters, or Nazna, none of those characters are in the top tier. You know what I mean? And thing is as well, that's very important, is the 16:9 change will be implemented. I can't spell. During. I'm gonna just increase my. Holy shit. It will be implemented during beta, which means that they have. If everyone has any like balance concerns, such as Lilica's wall kicks not comboing anymore, or her heel slam loop is not as good, or her wall jump is suddenly broken because it jumps off the edge, these are going to be in the beta with balance changes. So in the end, we don't know if it's actually going to nerf any characters or anything like that. It's just that with a screen size change, certain things will change with it, and it's good to know that it's not going to be the end of the world for that characters like Lilica, because seriously there's going to be balance changes, and it's like it buffs certain characters like Nazna, even though no one wants to buff Nazna, even though she's crap. Like it's okay, right? It's not the end of the world. It will come with balance changes, and we don't know what the balance changes are like. So really, hold your horses before you say, this is the end of the world. Oh my god, this is gonna change absolutely everything. The game is going from 4:3 to 16:9. Oh, like it's not that big of a deal, guys. I mean, it could be if they do really bad balance changes. Like they go, you know what, Maori isn't that threatening. We're going to make the sisters the overhead faster, and then they reduce the size of the vertical box, and it's like, well, shit, now it's unblockable. You know what I mean? But really, don't be too shook, right? And that is me out.